So, a jury in Los Angeles just dropped a bombshell decision that could completely change social media as we know it. And today, we're going to do more than just break down this landmark verdict. We're going to master the English used to report on it so you can jump into those conversations with total confidence. Okay, here's our game plan. First, we'll get the core facts of this landmark case. Then, we'll decode the legal lingo you absolutely need to know. We'll look at the courtroom showdown, really understand why this matters on a global scale, and dig into why people are calling this big tech's tobacco moment. And finally, we'll look at what's coming next. All right, let's jump in. All right, Section 1, a landmark case. Let's get right to the heart of this verdict and what it really means. So everything kicked off with this one court ruling. And the key phrase here is radically transform. Now, we're not talking about some tiny little update. This is a decision that has the power to completely tear down and rebuild how huge companies like Meta and Google do business everywhere in the world. So what was the price tag on this? A cool $6 million. That's how much a jury told Meta and Google they had to pay up. And get this, that wasn't to a whole group of people. That was for one single young woman who took them on. And this is the heart of the matter, the reason this is blowing up everywhere. You know, for the first time ever, a jury basically said, yes, these massive tech companies intentionally designed their platforms to be addictive, and that design caused real harm to a young person's mental health. That idea right there is the foundation for this entire story. Okay, Section 2, decoding the lingo. To really wrap our heads around this and talk about it like we know our stuff, we've got to get the specific language down. Let's dive into some key vocab. First up, you're going to hear this phrase everywhere. Landmark case. It doesn't just mean it's an important case. It means it's a true game changer. It sets a new precedent. It basically sets a new rule book for future cases just like it. Okay, next up, found liable. When you read in the news that the companies were found liable, it's the official legal way of saying the court pointed the finger and said, you're responsible. This was your fault, and that's exactly why they have to pay money. So in any court case, you've got two main players. The plaintiff is the person who gets the ball rolling, the one who brings the lawsuit. In this story, the plaintiff is the young woman, Kai, who sued these tech giants. All right, now this next one is less lawyer speak and more everyday English, but it's super important. Hooked. The lawyers for the plaintiff argued she became hooked when she was just a kid. It's such a powerful word for addiction, and they used it to say these platforms weren't just fun, they were built to be almost impossible to put down. So what's the actual tech that they're talking about here? It all comes down to these algorithmic recommendations. You know that endless feed of videos and posts that just keeps going and going, designed to keep you watching? That's what we're talking about. The whole point of the lawsuit was that this isn't an accident. It's built to keep you on the app for as long as humanly possible. Okay, Section 3. Now that we've got the key terms down, let's look at the main event, the showdown in the courtroom. What did each side actually argue? It was a real clash of ideas. So, in the courtroom, it really boiled down to two totally different stories. On one side, the plaintiff's team was saying these companies are manipulating our children for profit using these addictive designs. But on the other side, the defense was arguing, hey, mental health is profoundly complex. You can't just blame all of it on one app. Wow, this was such a powerful line coming from the families. When they say, it's on you, that's a really direct, informal way of saying, the responsibility is yours, tech companies, not anyone else's. And on the flip side, here was the core argument from Meta's defense. They kept saying that these mental health struggles cannot be linked to a single app. They used this to argue there's no direct, provable connection, no cause and effect between their product and someone's problems. So you might be thinking, okay, but why is one case in Los Angeles making headlines all over the world? Well, let's get into why this is such a big deal. Experts are calling this a game-changing moment. For years, these giant tech companies seemed impervious, which is just a way of saying they seemed totally untouchable above the rules. This verdict just shattered that idea. It shows that, yes, the legal system can hold them accountable. And you gotta understand, this isn't just a one-and-done thing. People are calling this case the tip of the spear. It's a military metaphor, and it means this is just the very beginning. It's like this case is the first soldier in a whole army of lawsuits coming right behind it. All right, now let's talk about a really powerful comparison that experts are making. It's a metaphor that really puts the potential long-term impact of this into perspective. When you hear the phrase big tobacco moment, your mind should jump back to the 1990s when cigarette companies were finally legally forced to admit their products caused cancer. This metaphor suggests that this is that same kind of moment of reckoning, but for big tech. A future of tough rules and public accountability could be right around the corner. So what could this future actually look like for you and me? Well, we could see some huge changes. Can you imagine opening an app and getting a health warning, just like on a pack of cigarettes? Or maybe strict age limits, like you have to be 16 or 18 to join. They might even be forced to get rid of the very features that make the app so addictive, like that infinite scroll feed. So we've walked through the what, the how, and the why. But, and this is super important to remember, this story is not over, not by a long shot. So what's happening right now? Well, it's already been announced. Both Meta and Google are going to appeal the verdict. An appeal basically means they're asking a higher court to take a second look and, they hope, overturn the decision. This pretty much guarantees that the legal fight is going to drag on for a long, long time. And all of this, really, it leaves us with this huge final question to chew on. This whole case forces us to ask, where do we draw the line between cool, innovative design and corporate responsibility to keep us safe? And maybe more importantly, who gets to write the rules for our digital future? That's the billion-dollar question, and the debate is really just getting started.
喜欢这种学习方式，欢迎订阅我的频道，让我们一起用下一个10分钟，把商业英文变简单。